Hi, I'm Jay Shah, a quantum machine learning developer, and I welcome you to this brand new video. So, what are we going to talk about today? So, very first thing is state of the art classical machine learning and the challenges that it's facing right now. The second part would be the evolution of classical machine learning, so how we started and how we got here, where we are right now. What can quantum machine learning community learn from the evolution of classical machine learning? And lastly, we will talk about the subtle differences between classical machine learning and quantum machine learning right now. Okay, so let's just talk about the first part, the state of the art classical machine learning and its challenges. So, the very first thing that I would like to talk about is generative artificial intelligence. And talking about generative AI, yeah, the first thing that would come in mind is Midjourney. This is a very popular startup that has gained, good popularity in recent times. So what you can do is just give some text prompt and generate images like this one, and this one. It's so awesome, right? And talking about that, what are the applications of this sort of generative AI? The first one comes going to be advertising. So, and a great example of that is the BMW iX2 campaign. So, where they showed the merge of digital and real worlds, how this fictional character created using generative AI comes from digital world and looks into the real world experiences, human emotions, and it was a great way of utilizing generative AI. Kudos to the team that worked on this idea. And if I talk about another application that is really obvious is animation. So Netflix is someone is a company that has been trying to promote anime, and they are kind of using generative AI in that work as well. And even in the mangas, they are trying to use generative AI to make productions a little more faster, just to speed up the productions. The next part that we're like talk about is large language models, and I don't think this needs any introduction. I'm sure you all are aware of ChatGPT and the revolution that it has brought about. So this is kind of the example. You can reuse it for proofreading text, analyzing PDFs, generating images, and like whatever you really want to do. Just depends on your professional work or personal work, whatever you want to use it for, you can use it. And now, what are the challenges for these particular state-of-the-art classical machine learning models? The biggest challenge is the data. So these heavy models, that the data that they use, they don't really have the copyright. The companies don't really have the copyrights for that. So the copyright issues are the most pressing concern right now. So what you can really do about that? Can you really pay all the data resources for this? Uh, Not really, because if you kind of actually do that, then the thing is that the product there that you're actually making, is it actually even viable or not economically? So that's a really pressing concern right now for state of the art classical machine learning models. Or all these machine learning models are heavy models, data hungry models, but the data that it actually uses, uh, they do not belong to the company that they actually train these models. So that is a concern right now for the classical machine learning. Let's move on to the next part, which is the evolution of classical machine learning, and this is going to be really interesting. So we can just divide the evolution of classical machine learning in these three phases: the beginnings, the revival, and the expansion. Let's start with the beginnings. So the initial idea of making a biological neuron comes from 1943 with MCP neuron. Then we have perceptron in 1957 that kind of forms the basis of the modern deep learning. Then we have an SVM, support vector machines, and in 1963 it was just simple base idea that was provided, but that gained popularity much later. But the base idea was kind of provided in 1963 itself. And that after that, what comes AI winter from almost 1970s to mid 90s, where there was a dip in funding and interest in these ideas. But rather than calling it as AI winter, let's call it the revival. So the web propagation, the idea started right away in 1970. Then we have RNN in 1982. It was popularized in 1982, but the base ideas can be actually traced back much earlier. Then we have SVM, support vector machines, that started gaining popularity from 1992. Then random forest, the popular ensemble technique, which was again gets its late forward in 1995, but it gained popularity in 2000s. But the base idea was put forth in 1995. Then we have LSTM, which was revolutionary work, I feel, and it was put forth in 1997. Then in 1998, the famous MNIST dataset was put forth by Ian Lucan and his team for work related to document recognition. And then we have the last phase, the expansion that starts from 2000s. So ImageNet that was put forth in 2009. Then the character recognition that was done in 2012 by Andrew Ng and his team. So it was to be able to recognize cats from YouTube videos. That was, considered something really significant. Then AlexNet and again in 2012. Then word embeddings. So the popular technique word2vec that was put forth that was worked at Google in 2013 and then put forth in 2013. Then the transformer, again a work done at Google that was put forth in 2017. And then now in last year 2023, GPT 3.5 model that was released for ChatGPT users, and that kind of was again looked at, a great breakthrough in machine learning. So you can see how these ideas can be traced back for like so many decades ago. And even you look at 2012, just recognizing case from YouTube videos was considered something totally awesome. And just see where we are today in just 12 years after that. So progress in AI was done on two forefronts. One was improving techniques, and the other was just creating larger models. So talking about the improving techniques, it was mostly done in the beginnings and the revival phase. And the just getting a model with larger and the larger model with using more computation, that was like mostly focused on the expansion phase. And rightly so, because most of the base techniques were already put forth in the beginning and the revival phase. So using it, the expansion phase, where we also had the availability of the required hardware, so using larger model with higher computation was kind of actually natural. And if you just look at this wonderful graph, it can show you that after the introduction of transformer, how the model size has been kind of just increasing exponentially almost, with respect to time. And you can just pause this video for a moment and have a look at this wonderful graph. So what can we actually learn as a quantum machine learning community from the evolution of classical machine learning? The first part would be like quantum winter, quantum hype. That is quantum just hype? Will it ever actually work anything or not? All of those things. So AI winter kind of started from 1970s, and it was there up to almost around mid 90s or so. So naturally, it was called AI winter because there was a dip in funding and interest in these ideas by the investors. Then this phase of AI winter kind of started almost 30 years after that base idea of MCP neuron. But still, although as we just saw, like there was a dip in interest in funding, but as we just saw, there was like significant work done even during this phase. So even if we actually face any quantum winter, as a quantum research community, we should like not lose hope and keep working on the algorithmic part at the very least. Well, as of now, there is no quantum winter, because there is good funding and interest. Most of the tech giants are interested in the field. There are a lot of amazing startups that have come up, there for utilizing quantum software and quantum hardware as well. And they look really promising. The only tech giant that is not kind of interested in quantum computing in general is Meta. And other than that, some of the companies have recently just gave up on their uh, quantum lab to some universities. But mostly, if you see around the globe, there has been a good interest and funding for this particular quantum computing and quantum machine learning. Mostly quantum computing, I would say. Then early ideas can be traced back from the 90s for this particular quantum computing. The first company that I can think of is D-Wave Systems, that still exists, is still operational right now, and is doing some great work. Then we have classical ML, and this architecture exists. So thing is that classical machine learning had no classical machine learning, obviously, but we have classical machine learning, as an inspiration. But again, that's also a problem, because if we want to show that quantum machine learning is doing some good work, then we have to also show that it kind of outperforms classical machine learning. So it's something that works on both sides. And again, quantum machine learning obviously involves quantum physics, and it's kind of gets a little difficult. It's require people from physics background, and it also require people from computer science background to come together, work on this topic, and make something out of it. So what were the issues in the early stages of classical machine learning, and what are the issues that we are facing right now in quantum machine learning? So obviously there were no building blocks in the early stages of classical machine learning. They were just trying out different things. Then there was no hardware support. Obviously there was no cloud computing, no GPUs at that time, and obviously it was a great bottleneck. Then lack of data, and there was no big data at that time. Today we have so much of open source data available as well, that we can use for our works. But initially there's no such data available. And classical machine learning really thrived after it got hardware support in the form of GPUs and cloud computing and big data as well, to be honest. And I think this is something that we can actually learn. Let's talk about quantum machine learning. So we have classical machine learning, as I just told you. We have these ideas that we can take inspiration from, and work on the top of it. Then we also kind of face the same issues. We have like lesser hardware support. The quantum computers available right now have lesser qubits available, but at least we have cloud computing. So even if I want to run some quantum experiment, some quantum circuit, I can directly use uh, IBM machine, and I can run my quantum circuit on that IBM QPU. Then availability of data, we have data available for our works, as I just told you. And obviously the more focus has to be made on hardware development alongside algorithmic development. Why? Because we still have very limited number of qubits, and there is no clear winning architecture. We have trapped ion work going on, photonics work going on, superconducting qubits work going on, but there is no clear winner in all of these architectures. So this is one thing that you need to keep in mind. Yeah, so like these are the things that we can actually learn as a quantum machine learning community from the evolution of classical machine learning, that let the more focus on the hardware development while working on the algorithmic part. Yeah, so like once I've talked about that, so let's talk about classical machine learning versus quantum machine learning. So the first thing that I would like to talk about is the progress. So like what is the progress in these two fields, as a comparison. So if you see like in the initial phase, the more focus was on the techniques in classical machine learning. And if you talk about the progress right now, like mostly the focus is on ideas for using the concepts from classical machine learning and introducing their quantum counterparts. So that is the kind of the more focus right now. And in the later stage of classical machine learning, the expansion phase, more of the idea, was to work on the size of the models, making bigger models, more powerful models. On the other hand, if you see, uh, and I mean, the one after there was some ideas put forward for quantum machine learning. If you see, now we more have focus on hybrid architecture, so classical quantum hybrid architectures, and mostly finding applications where quantum machine learning can outperform classical machine learning. So the way I told you that having classical machine learning is kind of a good and bad thing, because good thing is because we can have the inspiration, we can take inspiration from the ideas of classical machine learning. But the bad part is that if we really want to show that quantum machine learning can work on a particular topic, we also have to show that classical machine learning cannot do the same thing. So that is also kind of the bad part. And yeah, I mean, if obviously classical machine learning has now been able to generate commercial use, I know is like commercially important, as able to generate uh, you know uh, uh, revenue. And we talk about quantum machine learning, it's there are products out, quantum computing in general. If I talk about, there are products out, but the commercial use is kind of limited as of now. There are like less products available compared to classical machine learning, and the obvious reason is the limited number of qubits that are available. But once we have the hardware support, obviously quantum computing is really 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 powerful. So what are the types of architectures? It's so like this is going to be the interesting part. The supervised deep learning. So this is probably the most, you know, the part that people focus on in machine learning in general, the supervised deep learning part. And similarly, we have the quantum counterpart, supervised quantum deep learning. So I think this is what you can directly see the way I talked about that quantum machine learning in general takes inspiration from classical machine learning, and you can directly see right now that we really literally have direct quantum counterparts of all these uh, classical supervised deep learning models. The second part is unsupervised deep learning. So we have autoencoders and generative adversarial networks and unsupervised classical deep learning. And if you talk about quantum machine learning, we have is unsupervised quantum deep learning architecture called QGANs, and the quantum generative adversarial networks that have kind of gained popularity in recent times. Then we have supervised machine learning, and again we have supervised quantum machine learning. And the most popular model here is quantum support vector machines. Then we have unsupervised machine learning, and again we have unsupervised quantum machine learning. And here the most popular kind of model is Q-means, which is the quantum counterpart for the K-means clustering model. Then we have reinforcement learning, which is still mostly in the research phase, comparatively to the other techniques of machine learning and deep learning. And yeah, you again have quantum reinforcement learning as well, but obviously it's much in early phase right now. And this is what these models kind of look like. So probably you are already familiar with the classical models, but this is what any typical quantum model would look like, the way you're seeing it on this right side of the screen. So you can just pause the video, have a look at it. So before we wrap up this video, let's just talk about a little future directions, a little beliefs that we have in the community. So a very popular belief that exists in the community is that just don't try to fit classical machine learning and quantum machine learning. So just we saw in the previous slide that we just have quantum counterparts for the classical machine learning models. So what a lot of people believe is that treat quantum machine learning as a separate field, as a different field, and work on original ideas rather than just trying to fit the methods and the things that have worked for classical machine learning. So that is a very popular belief in the community. And another belief in the community is that quantum support vector machines could probably be the first quantum machine learning algorithm that actually, is able to outperform the classical part or classical machine learning in general. So that is a belief that, and that's because we can probably utilize the Hilbert space in the kernel tree used by support vector machines. So that is a belief in the community. And like these are the two things that I really wanted to talk, just introduce you to. And yeah, that's it from my side. You can We will talk about more of quantum machine learning and more advanced topics in upcoming videos. And there's already a lot of material on the channel. So if you're interested in quantum computing or quantum machine learning in general, you can check out the video. And we will meet in some other video. And until then, take care.